Okay, great. I think I'm recording. Thank you, Emily. All right, so I'm Dr. Rahel Klapheke. I'm the owner and founder of Parkers Paws Animal Hospital. We started doing this puppy Zoom class during the pandemic when everybody either got pregnant, a puppy, or a pool. So I started teaching the class because we like to spend about an hour with our new puppies, but that was impossible when we were getting 10 to 15 new puppies a day during the pandemic. But it became so popular that people started attending even if they didn't have a puppy. So the way it works at Parker's Paws, and welcome to the family, by the way, we are one of the only clinics left in all of Nashville that is independently owned. Most of them are all corporate now. So I'm really proud of that. But the way it works at Parker's Paws, we are really different in a good way. So you come in for your first puppy visit, and we do a full physical exam from nose to tail. Bring your records with you or send them to us ahead of time. And then you're going to come back every 4 weeks until they are 16 to 18 weeks old. And when you come back for subsequent visits, even if we find like a heart murmur, or if we find a hernia, or if we find something with your puppy that needs follow-up, you're going to come back for subsequent visits at no charge. So we're going to follow up on that. We're going to make sure that if a heart murmur is found on the first visit, and I'd say about 10% of my puppies, I do hear a murmur on the first visit. We want to make sure that that resolves on its own. And don't panic if we do find a murmur, because most of them, 90%, go away on their own. When you come in for your first visit, be sure to bring poop. Even if your breeder has dewormed 3 trillion times, please bring poop. We send our fecals out to a lab, and we do special testing and special staining that aren't usually seen in an in-house normal veterinary clinic. And we also, a lot of breeders will give just a generic deworming that only gets like roundworms. Like, for example, Nemex just gets roundworms. We send home with 5 days of Panicure, and because we get so many positive Giardia cases. So when you come, you're going to bring poop, and we're going to send that to the lab. According to CDC recommendations, Jamie, I saw that you had a younger child. According to CDC recommendations, we are supposed to have 2 consecutive negative fecals during their puppy series. So even if it's negative, we want to follow up with another fecal. Hey, Jerry, I can't see you or hear you, but I see your name. So be sure to bring a fecal. And then, hey, Jerry.
Hey,
See a lot
sorry, I'm in the car.
It's okay. It's okay. And then feel free if you want to stop, if you want to send me a message during my talk, I can see that. If you all have a question, just send me an instant message. So
Okay.
bring the fecal in, and then when you come, we're going to get a weight on your puppy, and then you're going to get lots of freebies. So the first thing you're going to get, unless your dog is ginormous, the first freebie that you're going to get is a heartworm prevention called Interceptor. An Interceptor is a monthly heartworm preventative, but it also gets heartworms, hookworms, roundworms, heartworms, hookworms, roundworms, whipworms, and tapeworms. Sorry. So you give this once a month, year round, for the rest of their life, forever and ever, amen. So this is the first of the month, July 1st. So all my dogs and cats get their heartworm preventions on July 1st. Well, let's say I forget today. Or say that I wake up one morning and it's July 17th. And I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to give my heartworm prevention. Go ahead and give it on the 17th, and then give it again on August 1st. Okay. So my dog Raina ate an entire box of 6 of these, not on purpose, on accident. She was fine. She just had a little diarrhea. But what I'm getting at is it's very safe. So I would rather you double up, because if you're like me, I'd say, did I give it on the 17th last month? Or worse, you'll say, I'll just wait till August 1st and give it. Well, guess what? You'll forget again. So give it as soon as you remember, and then give it again on the 1st of the month. And I just personally pick the 1st because that's the easiest day of the month to remember. Okay. You can pick any day you want, but just be religious. And this is year round. So we treat heartworm disease. I've got a lot of my staff in here in the room today. We treat heartworm disease literally on a weekly basis here. It's a real disease. Dogs show absolutely no signs of heartworm disease until it's well advanced. So please give your heartworm prevention every single month. And don't forget that it also gets intestinal parasites. And dogs sniff around and other dogs poop and other animals poop all the time. So be sure to give this. This is probably the most important thing. So day 1, you're going to give Interceptor. You'll get a freebie. And then day 2 is Credelio. And this is for fleas and ticks. Now this is an oral preventative. And it's going to be about 90% effective against fleas and ticks. And we definitely see tick-borne diseases on a almost hourly basis here. So we have had a couple cases of Lyme, which in Tennessee, which we've never had before. And I've had 2 deaths from Lyme. So this is a real problem that we have in Middle Tennessee. Now, if your dog doesn't tolerate it or gets an upset stomach for it, there are some topicals. So Seresto Collar Frontline, you can get those over the counter, but those are going to be about 70% effective. So if you live in the Icon in downtown and have a 4-pound Maltese, okay, maybe we do the Seresto Collar and Frontline Plus. But if we have a dog that we're hiking every week with, and it's a Labrador Retriever, the orals are the way to go.
What are you doing?
Just going to be much more effective. So on the first day, we're going to write these down for you. Day 1, you're going to give Interceptor. Day 2, you're going to give Credelio. Now, for the first couple months, I want you to give both of these on separate days, because if they get an upset stomach, we're going to know which one it is. After you get those 2 consecutive negative fecals, there is a product that combines both, and it's called Simparica Trio. It gets everything but whipworms. So that's why we got to have those 2 negative fecals before I can get you on Simparica Trio. There are other products like ProHeart, which I do not recommend, and Trifexis, which I do not recommend because of the side effects. So this is my 2 favorite products. And if this is too much, because I do have 6 pets, this is too much, I give Simparica Trio once a month year round for the rest of their life. All right, any questions about heartworm stuff? Okay. Spaying and neutering. So things have changed since the 1900s when I went to vet school. We do not spay and neuter everything at 6 months old anymore. They did an EPIC study, it's called the EPIC study, and they looked at tens of thousands of dogs, tens of thousands of all different breeds and all different genders. And what they found is that if you delayed spaying and neutering in certain breeds and certain genders, you can decrease the chance of some bone cancer or some cancers and bone diseases like osteoarthritis by up to 20%. So this was a crazy study. So when you come in for your first visit, you and your vet should have the discussion of when we should spay and neuter. Now, some of these say it's a choice. So that means anytime, after 6 months is usually when I recommend it. But some of them, you can go get a chair, Connor, if you want. But some of them, like for example, a golden retriever female, they say leave intact. So am I telling you you should never spay a golden retriever female? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm going to have that conversation with you so that if we did not spay her, there may be a good chance that we can decrease her chance of bone diseases and certain types of cancers by 20%. Now, some of the owners, you're not going to be able to board. You're not going to be able to go to daycare. You're not going to be able to sometimes go to grooming. So there's a lot of disadvantages to that. But some owners have told me, we don't go anywhere. And she's had a couple of heat cycles and it's not really that bad. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's just hold off on it. But there's some owners that like, you're crazy. There's blood all over my house. We're not doing this every month or every couple months. And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and spay her. So it's a great conversation to start with owners, and it's a decision that we should make together. But just be aware that this study does exist. Now, speaking of Spain, we are a little bit different as far as surgeries are concerned. A lot of you look familiar, so I think that you all are familiar with our surgery techniques, but we're one of the only veterinary practices in all of Middle Tennessee that actually requires pre-anesthetic blood work, including blood clotting factors, and an EKG prior to every surgical procedure. In cats, we require the pro-BMP, and that's no exceptions. So, and the reason is because I'd say about 70% of the time we actually find something abnormal, especially EKGs. And it's not that we're not going to do surgery. It's just that we know that that EKG abnormality is particular to that specific patient. And we're going to use that as a baseline for when we induce, when we do induction for anesthesia. We know that that's that normal patient. So we have it a comparison. We're also one of the only veterinary practices in all of Nashville, maybe Tennessee, that has not private practices, not specialty, that has instant monitoring. So that means when we induce your patient, we are instantly monitoring blood pressure, PCO2, PO2, EKG. Most veterinary practices, if they monitor those things at all, don't do it until after they've been induced and prepped and in the OR. So we're doing it instantly during prep and everything. We also have a dedicated anesthetic team for the entire day. We do not assembly line our surgeries. We do 3 to 5 procedures a day maximum. We do take emergency surgeries, but we do not want our anesthetic team to be rushed, and we want them to only focus on anesthesia. And I can't think of any other practice that does that. So I always like to explain to owners why we're different. We take anesthesia incredibly seriously, and we are constantly updating our protocols. And we also do not one size fits all. We individualize every anesthetic technique to that individual patient. And so when we provide you an estimate, it's one cost and then everything's included. It shouldn't be a choice that you measure blood pressure during anesthesia. It shouldn't be a choice to have an IV catheter. That's included and that should be included. And we can talk to you more about that during your visit. All right, let's talk a little bit about diets. So 4,000 dog and cat foods on the market. I can't possibly know all of them. So I have written an article on dog and cat diets. And if you've ever been inside this practice, you know I don't sell commercial dog food. I have a couple intestinal diets, but we don't have that wall of food that you see at typical veterinary clinics. I believe there's way too many budgets and palatabilities and special needs. I just feel like I can't compete with Amazon or Chewy either. So, but I want to guide you to pick the right one for you and your family and your pet. So I've written this article and basically it talks about all the fads, you know, the raw diets, the grain-free diets, the goat's milk. I talk about the allergies. I talk about all of that. And I go in actual data, actual research with legitimate things of why some of these are good and some of them are bad. If you're interested in that article, all you have to do is text us or send us a smoke signal or call us or email us, and we will email you that article. At the bottom of the article, it basically gives you my 5 criteria of what to look for in a good dog food. Again, if you have any doubt, you're like, well, is Dr. Marty's, freeze-dried, blah, 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 okay? I was like, listen, I don't know. I send me the ingredients and send me the guaranteed analysis. Don't send me the cover. That means nothing. It's all marketing. Send me the actual ingredients and the guaranteed analysis, and I'll be able to tell you, hey, that's way too much protein, or hey, that's grain-free. That's I don't like it. So, but just send them to me, and I'll be able to say, no, don't change a thing. This looks great. Or no, we probably need to make a change, and this is why. I will tell you that we don't believe in grain-free diets. It's actually shouldn't say grain-free. We should say legume-heavy. So any diet that has high legumes in the top 6 ingredients have been shown to make the dog or cat more susceptible to a life-threatening heart disease called dilated cardiomyopathy or DCM, because it blocks taurine absorption. Dogs and cats, unlike humans, do not make a couple essential amino acids. So we basically can eat Cheetos our whole life and we won't die. We may look like crap, but we won't die because we make our own amino acids. But dogs and cats don't. So that's why we can't just feed them homemade diets and think they're going to be fine. So commercial diets do offer those amino acids and that mineral balance so that they because they can't make their own amino acids. And then a lot of people say, well, what about this raw diet stuff? And I said, well, you know, in the raw diet, in the wild, dogs ate the entire carcass, including the ligaments and the eyeballs, and we don't want to do that. So, and then it makes them more susceptible to E. coli and Clostridium. So if you're interested in the article, just let me know. I could talk about diets the whole hour, but I'm not. Okay, so let's talk about training. So I am not a professional trainer, but I do have 6 rescues and I've lived with animals. Obviously, I've dedicated my entire life and career to animals. So I am going to talk a little bit about house training and some do's and don'ts. I'm not going to go into great detail because I'm not a trainer, but I do believe in crate training. If your dog is a nut job and goes ballistic in a crate, you can get a high-walled bed. I like a 3 high-walled bed or some type of pen. But the philosophy is you want to put them in the crate or the pen when you're not watching them. You should never put them in a crate or pen when you're for punishment. And so you put them in there when you're watching Lincoln Lawyer. It's so good right now. Oh, and the new Bridgerton. Oh my gosh, so great. So like say you're watching TV and you're not focused on your dog, you put them in the crate, or they can be on your lap. But if you're in the shower, if you're cooking, if you're not really looking at your puppy, they really should go in the crate. So then the philosophy is when they're out and about, you have to put baby gates up, you put pillows up so that you can be watching them at all times. So let's say they have an accident, they pee or poop, you're supposed to catch them within 4 seconds of the act, okay? So, and you can use one of 2 techniques. The first technique is a verbal reprimand, and I do think it can be effective in some dogs. I use the verbal reprimand of because it doesn't sound like anything in the human language. Now, you don't want to scare your dog. So sometimes that verbal reprimand is not a good thing. But sometimes if you get a real stubborn dog, it does tell them, hey, I don't like what you're doing. You need to not do that. And then the other technique is obviously just do nothing and pick them up and take them outside. So then when you take them outside to go potty, they pee and poop, you have to give them a positive reinforcement within 3 to 4 seconds of the act. So yeah, puppy. Or you can give them a treat, a training treat. And there's 3 rules for the training treat. The first rule is they have to really, really like it. The second rule is it has to be the same one every time. And the third one is it needs to be smaller than a Cheerio. Okay, otherwise you're going to be waiting for them to sniff it and see if they like it, and then waiting for them to eat it. So small and the same thing. So house training goes hand in hand with training in general. There are 4 basic commands that every puppy should know, and that is sit, stay, come, and heel. YouTube it, guys. Hundreds and hundreds of videos on how to train a dog with those 4 commands. I would recommend watching a couple different techniques for each of those commands because you may not know which technique is going to work for your dog. The only techniques that I don't recommend are the clicker training because I don't think anyone ever does them right. There are some, but most don't. And then the second training technique I don't like is the pinch collar. So watch some videos, and then once you train your puppy to sit, then nothing in life is free. And you're going to get this article in your folder. So basically what this says is to get anything in life, your puppy has to sit. So you've taught your puppy to sit. So to go outside, they sit. To come inside, they sit. To get picked up, they sit. To get out of their crate, they sit. To get anything in life, they sit. So here's what happens. Unless you own a Chihuahua, because they're untrainable. But this is true.
Not lying.
So this is what's going to happen. Your puppy's going to go, huh, mom or dad like it when I go outside. They don't like it when I go inside. So how do I tell them I need to go potty? They're going to come to you and they're going to sit. And you're going to go, Fluffy, do you need to go potty? And they're going to go, yes. And you're going to take them outside and they're going to go potty. That sounds real simple and rainbows and unicorns, but with that consistency, if everybody in the household knows their tells, then everyone will know Fluffy needs to go potty. She's got the look. Okay. Some people do the bell training at the door. I think that's fine. I think it's cute. But then sometimes they ring the bell because, you know, they just want to go outside. So that consistency is really what gets it. And again, read this article. So talking a little bit about socialization, a lot of people think that you're supposed to wait to socialize your puppy until they're fully vaccinated, and that is not true. So this is a study that came out from the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavioralists, and this study proved that the benefit of socialization far outweighs the risk. So 1 week after your puppy has been vaccinated and dewormed, you can socialize your puppy with other dogs. But you have to be careful which dogs. You do not want to socialize your puppy with your grandmother's 80-pound aggressive Rottweiler. Not a good idea. You also don't want to go to any dog parks or pet stores or any place where your puppy comes in contact with a dog with an unknown vaccine history, right? You are going to socialize your puppy with the cute little 12-pound, 5-year-old, well-vaccinated Cocker Spaniel next door, right? That's a good socialization. And you're going to do it in a controlled way, a small backyard, a living room, and understand that your puppy is teething. Teething hurts. They will bite you. They will growl at you. Raise your hand if you all have all the marks on you from your puppy biting you. I mean, it's a normal thing. When your puppy bites you, just say ow really loud and then just redirect their attention with something that's safe to chew. And I'll go over that in a second. But it is imperative, and so that's why you don't really want to socialize your puppy with a dog that could be potentially aggressive, because those teeth hurt. And if they get bit, that dog that they're socializing with may bite back. So there are puppy classes throughout Nashville, and we have a list of those on your take-home instructions with your first visit. And so basically you just take your puppy there to be with other puppies. But it's like taking your kid to the park. You're not taking your kid to the park to teach them table manners, right? You're taking your kid to the park to play with other kids. Same concept with puppy classes. You're not there to train. You're there to just let them be puppies. All right. So, and this article talks about that. And then speaking of socialization, you get this great list. This is so fantastic of things that you can socialize your puppy to. We know that window of opportunity, we call it imprinting, occurs before 14 weeks of age. Introducing your puppy to males, to females, to people with hats, to people with mustaches, to stares, to clippers. So here's a whole list of things to expose your puppy to, and ideally before 14 weeks of age. So this is a great handout, and it's even got checklists for you to read, and that's included in your puppy folder. So speaking of teething, okay, who's already gone to PetSmart and seen the wall of chews and the wall of toys? It can be really, really overwhelming. Oh, where's my Dr. K's chew rules? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I made a list of rules. Take this with you. Take this to PetSmart. Look at the chews. And I went to Tractor Supply the other day, and I tell you what, there were 2 chews on that entire wall that I would have approved. So take this with you. So the first rule is it needs to be made in North America, United States, Canada, or Mexico. The second rule is no knots or knuckles. Okay, I like the ones that look like newspapers or pens. Now, you're probably saying, Dr. K, are you saying that rawhides are okay for my pet, my dog? Maybe. All right, so make sure that there's no colors or dyes. Make sure that your puppy is a slow gnawer. So they put it in between their paws and they're not eating it like corn on the cob. Don't ever leave a chew alone with your puppy. My only exception is the Kong. but you've already tried the Kong out first, and the Kong is the appropriate size. An extra small Kong with peanut butter is swallowed whole by an 80-pound Rottweiler. Okay, so make sure you get the correct size. Don't give it to them if they have any vomiting or diarrhea from it. And now, when I'm cooking supper, all my dogs get a little chew rawhide, okay? But I'm right there, okay? They're all around me. I'm right there. So if I hear I'm right there to take it away. And if it ever gets really small, I take it away, okay? Chews and rawhide can also induce aggression amongst siblings. So you also don't want to ever leave it. Like if a chew doesn't get finished and you have more than 2 dogs or 2 dogs or more, then you want to take it away, okay? Because you don't want to cause any sibling fighting. And then one of my favorite rules for a chew is if you can indent your thumb in it, okay? Or slap your thigh with it. So no antlers, no bones, no big femur bones, that you see at the end of the aisle at Publix. So some people say, well, Dr. K, just tell me what to give. Well, I kind of did because I liked the Kong. But here is a list from the Veterinary Oral Health Council. And this is a list, it's multiple pages, of rinses, gels, and chews that have actually been proven to help with plaque and tartar. A lot of colored liquids out there that claim they help, but they don't. Okay, so use this list as a guideline. And rawhides are on this list. So this is from veterinary dentists. Rawhides are on the list. Even if it's on this list, you still have to follow the rules. Okay. All right, so brushing teeth. You are supposed to brush your dog's teeth once a day. Dr. K, do you brush all 6 of your pet's teeth every day? No, I do not, because we all have a life. But if you have 1 pet, there's really no excuse. So here's what I do. You want to work your way up to brushing, because if you hate it and they hate it, nobody's going to do it. So there's a cheating technique. And do I do the cheating technique with my pets? Yes. So the cheating technique is where you take an enzymatic toothpaste and you just smear it, like before a WALK. Okay. Leave it on the counter. Don't put it in a drawer, except if you have cats, don't leave it on the counter. They will eat it. So leave it someplace like near the leash or somewhere where you're going to use it, and just do the smear technique. Okay. So the going rate for a advanced dental is about $1,000 to $1,500 now. So if that doesn't give you incentive, I don't know what will. But then you can work your way up to brushing, and brushing is best. You can use a finger brush, you can use a human pediatric toothbrush, or you can use a mascara brush if your dog's mouth is really small or if you have a cat. And you can get those sample mascara brushes by the packet on Amazon. So that's my favorite trick. So brushing every day is what you're supposed to do, or you can cheat with the smearing technique. Nail trims. I hate nail trims. I hate them so much, but we got to do them. If you walk your dog on asphalt, make sure it's not too hot, but that does do a natural kind of filing if you do walk them on a regular basis. Just be careful with pad burns with this heat. So there's a quick on the nail. So it goes right here. And sometimes you can see it if the nail is white, and sometimes you can't if it's black. What you want to do is you want to cut it at an angle. Okay, you want to cut it at an angle. And I like to use these good orange clippers. I think these are called Millers or something. So you can get these on Amazon. Just invest in the good ones. Don't get the cheap ones. If you have a cat, you can do, it's called a guillotine one. You can do the guillotine. Those work really good. So one trick is do 1 nail a day. Another trick is if you're afraid to hit the quick and you've got a black nail, try to find a white nail and it'll tell you how long the quicks are. But you want to cut it where it starts to curve, and then you're going to trim it at an angle, and you're going to squeeze. And if they pull back really quick, you may have that vessel. So then just move it further down, okay? And we do nail trims here. We do charge $25 because we all hate them so much. So that's why I'm trying. I know.
I don't see rumor, I'll do them.
But if you got to have a good holder, and it's hard to do it by yourself. But if you get your dog and you start to play this little piggy, just getting them used to the nail trims earlier, it really does make a difference as they get older. So brush the teeth once a day, trim the nails about once a month, twice a month. And then you want to clean their ears once a week. And I don't have the ear model. They forgot my ear model. I thought it was, oh, here it is. Here it is. All right, so here is the dog and the cat ear. This is what you see, okay? This is the canal, here and here. This is the eardrum. So the reason I show you this is unless you have Barbie bionic fingers, you're never gonna reach this eardrum here. So I've got great videos on our website. I want all of you all to watch all the videos. So I have a cheating technique. Can you tell? I like to cheat a little bit when you have 6 pets. I've got a cheating technique and I have a flushing technique. The flushing technique is when they actually have an ear infection. The cheating technique that you're going to do once a week is going to try to catch an ear infection before it actually starts. There are certain breeds that are much more susceptible to ear infections, such as the Cocker Spaniel and the Golden Retriever. So I highly recommend, if you own one of those 2 breeds, to go ahead and clean these ears, the cheating technique, once a week. Okay, so watch those videos. Bathing. Bathe them when they're dirty. That's it. That's really it. Just bathe them when they're dirty. There are some waterless shampoos that I absolutely love if you can't give them an actual bath. Dogs' pH's skin is different than humans. There are a small percentage of shampoos that you can use on dogs, but I try to use one that is pH balanced for just a dog. And then don't pour this on their skin. Pour it on your hand first, lather it up, and then bathe them. Okay, otherwise you're going to be standing there rinsing them for eternity. Okay, insurance. I have nothing to do with insurance companies, but if you're going to get insurance, get it as soon as possible. There's some that get just wellness. There's some that get just illness. So just do due diligence. Again, I have nothing to do with insurance companies, but I do know that those owners that have insurance do provide the best possible choices and can go to specialists when they need to. Okay, so, and then microchipping, we can do that at the time of spay and neuter. If you're going to wait and do spay and neuters, we can do the microchip during your last puppy visit. Mobility. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mobility. You know, I probably see, how many times a day, Connor, do you think I see a mobility case?
Probably at least 60% of our.
Yeah, 60% is what he just said. I mean, that's a pretty high number, but that's fair. So our patients are living older, thank goodness. But I want you all to start encouraging some good habits. Hardwood floors and hardwood floor stairs are the nemesis of all of my patients. If you can carpet your stairs, if you can teach them to have baby gates, so they're just going up once and just going down once. Like when I do laundry, all my pets want to follow me up and all of them want to follow me down. So getting baby gates, getting runners, when the doorbell rings or when you let them outside, if you have a deck, make sure they don't leap off the deck onto the stairs. Playing fetch. I do encourage low impact aerobic activity rather than fetch. I don't want to deny a dog what they love to do, but instead of doing like 30 fetches, how about going on a long walk and just doing 1 or 2 fetches? So you just want to encourage low impact aerobic activity, walking, hiking, swimming, avoiding stairs, avoiding slick floors where they can do the road runner or the Bambi on ice. So just those are the things little things we can do to really help our dogs with their mobility, especially in long back dogs. So corgis, basset hounds, Dachshunds, they really should never have to go up and down stairs if possible. And when they do, it's just once or twice a day. And then if you have a really tall bed, maybe getting a bench like from the get-go so that they can learn to hop down, and making sure there's a good rug at the bottom of the bench so that they're not wiping out. So just be aware that we see so many mobility issues with our dogs, and it's because they're acting like a nut as a puppy and as a younger dog, and then now that they're 14 years old, they have to pay the price, just like we all do. But just know that I'm seeing that more and more. Emergency. So this little sheet right here is in your folder, and this has probably saved hundreds of lives. I did this during one of our ice storms. So the first thing on the list is the local veterinary emergency clinics. There's a bunch in town now, y'all. There's Veg in Brentwood. There's Blue Pearl in Cool Springs. There's NVS on Sitco Drive. There's an NVS in Clarksville now. The Blue Pearl is on, there's one on 21st Avenue, just a couple miles down this, a couple blocks down the street from us. So but it's imperative that if you do have an emergencies after hours, that you call ahead of time or get on their portal, because I tell you what, staffing is a big deal in veterinary medicine right now, and be prepared. You may have a 6 to 8 hour wait. Okay, so call around, because I'd be willing to drive to Clarksville for no wait versus an 8 hour wait at the NVS here. So if you call around, tell them what the problem is, then you can know how long the wait is. So be aware of that. So here's a first aid checklist on that second column. I mean, so this is kind of emotional. So many things have happened in Nashville over the past decade. Tornadoes, derechos, floods, bombings, shootings, international pandemics, ice storms. What'd I miss? I mean, it's a lot. I can't tell you how many times people can't get to us. In the 10 and a half years now, almost 11 years that we've been open, we have not closed our doors once. Okay. I mean, really proud of that. Now, we closed early, like for an ice storm, because nobody could come and see us. But we have opened our doors every day. I mean, we're closed holidays, like we're going to be closed 4th of July. We do need to be people occasionally, but we have not closed our doors because of any type of natural disasters or unnatural disasters. So pretty proud of that. But sometimes you can't get to us, is my point. During the ice storm, for example, I had a puppy in Hillwood who ingested a pound of chocolate, and they couldn't get to us. They were in Hillwood. It was too icy. So one of the things on this list is hydrogen peroxide. Now, hydrogen peroxide will induce vomiting on emergency, but man, will it tear their stomach up. So it's always best to come here. We have much better alternatives to induce vomiting, but if it's an ice storm and you can't get to us, I got to make sure you have these things. Make sure you have a thermometer, and that's to take your dog's rectal temperature. I have a great video on our website on how to take a dog's temperature. Just don't put it next to your turkey thermometer, right, for Thanksgiving. Make sure you label it for your dog from now on. And then Benadryl. So Benadryl we use in dogs, we don't use in cats, but Benadryl is for any type of allergic reaction. So the signs of allergic reactions are swelling of the eye, swelling of the muzzle, little red bumps everywhere. I don't want you to have to drive to Walgreens in the middle of the night to get that Benadryl. Okay, I want you to have it on hand, especially during your puppy series, because that's when they can have a vaccine reaction. So what's an emergency? Anything bleeding. Vomiting blood, urinating blood, defecating blood, blood on the skin. That's urgent. Anything with the eye, we consider urgent. Dogs' eye pressures are much different than ours. So anything with the eye, we take very, very seriously. Bloat. So bloat, if anybody's seen the movie Marley and Me, that's where the stomach flips on itself, also known as GDV. That is a surgical emergency. Okay, that is a drop everything, get to the closest open veterinary clinic. If you live in Kingston Springs, please do not drive all the way here. Please go to Kingston Springs or Cheatham County or Ashland City. So I'm telling you, that's an emergency. And the signs of bloat are, sometimes you don't see them actually bloat. The stomach of a dog is way up in the rib cage. So you don't always see a dog actually bloated. The only thing I consistently see with bloat, it's a deep-chested dog. So Doberman Pinscher, Boxer, Standard Poodles. What am I missing? Labrador Retrievers, Golden Retrievers. Deep-chested dog. They have a low headset. They're trying to vomit, but can't. So they go, ooh, 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 and then only foam comes out. And sometimes people misconstrue that phlegm as active vomit. It's not. If the foam is just coming out, that is a huge red flag. So get to the closest open veterinary clinic, a simple right lateral x-ray, and we can diagnose bloat within seconds. Okay. There is a surgery called gastropexy, also known as stomach hacking, that we can perform during a spay or neuter. It is optional. It's an ordeal. It's a big surgery, but it is considered now standard of care to offer that for any deep-chested dog while they're being spayed or neutered. It does not prevent bloat completely, though. It only decreases the chances of bloat by 70%. There are some things that you can do, like lifting their food bowl, making sure that they eat slowly, don't exercise after eating, and also not swinging them on their back or below, like, swinging them around, like when they do the thing on their back. They say that that can help too. All right, toxicities. Here are the 2 animal poison control phone numbers, okay, that you can call anytime if your dog gets into something toxic. If your dog gets into something toxic, bring the bottle, bring the container with you, okay? 5 different types of rat poison. I need that chemical name. Take a picture of it if it's any type of medication, or even if it's torn up, bring the package with you. We put packages together and then did a, what's this, and to find out what the toxic thing is. Don't forget that there's some human medications that are incredibly toxic to dogs and cats. 1 acetaminophen, 1 Tylenol will kill a cat. 1 Adderall will kill a dog. Okay? Dogs are not small humans, and cats are not small dogs. Okay, so don't ever give a human medication to a dog or a cat unless you specifically have gotten permission from your vet. Don't forget that there's some human foods that are toxic to dogs and cats. Sugarless gum, yeast, coffee, tea. They are 10 times more susceptible to products with chocolate in them than we are. Depends on the type of chocolate, but it gets converted to methylxanthine, which is kind of like a dog drinking 20 cups of coffee. So don't give them any chocolate. And if you have Christmas, don't wrap chocolate thinking they won't smell it. Don't put it under the tree. I swear we get at least 20 cases of that every Christmas. Don't forget that there are grapes, raisins. Those are toxic to dogs. Garlic, onions. Those are all toxic to dogs and cats. So don't let them lick your spaghetti plate after you're finished. Speaking of spaghetti, it's dinner time. So what questions do you all have for me? That's my talk. Any questions?